Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are having a lovely day. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I thought today we would mess around a little bit with more hips. Just getting, a little bit of yang, a little bit of activity, a little bit of yin, a little bit of stretching. So I don't know. It's what I feel like I need in my body today. So hopefully that's the same for you. Let's start lying down. If you're comfortable on your back, of course. If not, then you might choose to lie down on your side or stay seated. And then depending on how your day has been, you might need to get a few little wiggles or shakes out. Maybe you're super tired and are already fast asleep in your wonderful position. Your knees could be bent or straight. Your arms might be out by your side. You might even bend your elbows and rest your hands on your belly. And for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. A couple more. Continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. Maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way like I did. In which case, you could gently try to lengthen through those parts of the breath just to smooth it out a little bit more. And notice your body on the floor. Notice all the points of contact. Notice any movement in the body, pulsing or vibrations. Last couple of breaths here. And slowly start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body. Oh, whatever way feels best for you to wake up. Maybe the movements are really small and subtle. Maybe they're really big and unctuous. Until you feel ready to drop both knees into your chest. And then start taking a little rock from side to side. So we're using this motion to sort of start to wake up our systems, but also a little massage of the lower back and the pelvis on the floor. You might draw circles with your knees here and the hip sockets. Maybe your knees go in the same direction as each other today. Maybe they go in the opposite direction as each other. But whatever version you're doing, make sure that you end up going both directions. And then bring your feet to the floor, about mat width apart, even a little bit wider depending on how it feels on your body. And then take a little windshield wiper of your legs from side to side. The next time your knees are over at the right, pause there. So we're getting a little bit of a rotation through the spine, a little bit of a release maybe on that left hip. If you'd like a little bit more, then you could gently hook your right ankle over top of the left thigh, just bringing a bit of traction across that joint. And you could be passive here, just allowing gravity to do its work. Or if you want to, you could think of squeezing the bum on the left side, lifting that hip up, getting more of a release. Maybe even you reach your left arm back up and to the left. And then if the foot is hooked, gently unhook it, come back to center, maybe a little windshield wiper. And the next time your knees are over at the left, pause there. And maybe this feels just perfect right now. Maybe you want to add a little bit of extra oomph so you could cross the left ankle over top of the right thigh. Again, maybe this feels good. Maybe you choose to squeeze the bum on that right leg. You could reach the right arm back up and to the right. Last breath here. And then gently unwind, come back to center. Take a little windshield wiper of the knees again. And then slowly heel into the feet together. Bring the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to go out wide. So we're Supta Baddha Konasana, or supine butterfly. This is quite intense, right? So if you feel like you'd like a little bit of extra support underneath your knees or your thighs, if you have blocks, this is a great place to bring that little bit of extra support in so that the gravity isn't working quite so deeply into the groin. Maybe it feels great to use nothing. Sometimes this can feel a little bit tight on the low back, in which case I recommend using props or adjusting how far away or how close your heels are toward you. We're just going to stay here, Supta Baddha Konasana, for a few more breaths. One more inhale. One sweet exhale. Okay, now you can use your hands if you want to draw the thighs back toward each other, heel into the feet out, mat width apart, and then allow the knees to hang in toward each other. So now we're getting the opposite. It's not quite a stretch of those external rotators, but a little bit. Just getting that counterbalance to the first sort of deeper pose. Okay, and then bring your feet back to parallel. Keep your left foot on the floor and interlace your hands over top of that right knee or shin. You might draw that shin toward you or your knee toward you a little bit more. If you'd like a little bit more here, then you could extend your left leg along the floor. Spine long. You might reach your heel away from you so that left leg is really active. Last breath here. And then start to extend your right leg up to the sky. So your knee can be deeply bent, maybe so deeply bent that you can still hold on to the back of the thigh with the fingers or interlacing hands. You don't have to, right? Maybe your leg is quite far away from you. If so, bending that left leg will give you a little bit more room, a little bit more space here. Maybe your leg is straight. Maybe you have hands on the side. Maybe you have hands on toes or ankle, but go wherever you need to go. Just try not to pull right on your knee, right? Because it's working hard to extend, maybe, or if the knee is bent anyway. So a few breaths here, just getting into the back of that right leg. Flex the toes toward the face. Again, it doesn't matter how bent or straight that right knee is. Sometimes we do this with a strap, but sometimes it's useful to show you how to do this stretch without a strap. I really like almost thinking that I'm pulling my hands down the leg to help socket the femur back into the hip socket. Okay, release, shake it out a little bit. And then we'll switch sides. So starting with the right foot on the floor, draw the left knee toward you. Again, you might interlace your hands over top of the thigh or over top of the shin. Just getting a little bit of deeper compression, a little bit of release for the back of the hip. Maybe you extend that right leg on the floor away from you. Again, you can press the heel away if you wish. Last breath here. Okay, start to extend the left leg toward the sky. I'm going to go ahead and bend my right knee just so I can ease into this a little bit more. You might even do a couple flexions and extensions of the knee here just so that leg warms up. Peel the toes back toward your face. Again, your knee might be really deeply bent. You're still getting a release of the hip or the hamstrings here, but it's going to be closer towards the origin, right, at the sit bones. The more you extend the knee, you'll feel that. The more it sends the stretch down the back of the leg toward the knee. And maybe your right leg is extended. Doesn't have to be. I want you to be working within a pain-free range of movement. Right? So if it feels good on your ego to have the right leg extended, but not good on your left leg to have it extended, then don't do it. Right? That's one of the beauties of having our yoga practice at home these days, is there's no competition, right? There's no one in that class room that you feel like you have to be as good as or better than. It's simply a practice for ourselves, which it should always be, but you know, our brains get in the way. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly release, shake it all out. Okay, let's move a little bit. You might rock and roll up and down your spine here. Maybe go shoulder blades to sit bones or shoulder blades to sit bones. You could alternatively just roll to one side and press yourself up to hands and knees, which is where we will all meet. With knees underneath hips, toes tucked or untucked, hands nice and wide, outer shoulder width apart or wider. And then inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through your collarbones. And then exhale, round through your spine. Really press the floor away. Inhale into cow. Exhale, round into cat. So a few more breaths here. Moving however you need to. Maybe it's really small and subtle today. Maybe it's really big. Maybe there's some other natural movement that feels really good. You're welcome to go wherever you need to go. And then slowly, on your next inhale, come back to center. A little draw of belly button to spine. And you're just going to gently step to the top edge of your mat. So, however that looks like while you're moving, maybe you have something underneath your hands to bring the floor up to you today. Maybe you rest your elbows on your knees or thighs, or clasp opposite elbows with hands to get a little bit more traction through your spine. Knees bent though, right? Just to give yourself that um, ease through your joints. Locking out your knees, or in fact even hyperextending your knees here, is a really great way to give yourself unstable joints and also sciatica. Last couple breaths here. And then release your hands with fingertips to your shins or maybe the earth. Inhale, little partway lift, belly button to spine. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. And bend your knees, head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time, as slow as you need to go. Until eventually you come all the way up. Maybe a couple loops of your shoulders, up, back, and down. A little wiggle, release, or shake out. And then bring your feet hip width apart-ish. Not touching though, so hip width apart. Little draw of belly button to spine. And on your inhale, sit down into your chair pose. So nothing too crazy. Right, tailbone down slightly just to feel the belly button engaged toward your spine. And often when we're here in chair pose, we're not really thinking about it and the knees start to cave in. So send the knees out toward the baby toe edges of the feet. It'll fire up your glutes a little bit more. Your glutes will thank you for that. And you can rest your palms on your thighs, or maybe bring hands in prayer or arms to cactus, or if you want to, go ahead and do the sort of lightning bolt shape of chair pose. I'm going to do cactus, just feels better on my shoulders today. Last couple of breaths here. Can you sit a little bit lower? Hips down and back as you do that. Okay, stand all the way up. Whew, shake it out a little bit. Okay, let's add on chair pose. This time, send all the way over to that right leg. I want you to keep chair pose on that right leg as you pick up the left leg. Hands can go again wherever. Couple taps up and down with that left leg. So you're not hiking the hip. You're not standing up to do it, right? You're still in that chair pose. And extend the left leg forward. And then pick it up. And take it out to the left. And up. And then back. And up. Back out to the left. And up. Watch this one. Curtsy to the right. Woo! Don't fall back up. Come back down to center. Pause. Finding that center point. That right leg is getting all barking at us. So let's go over to that left leg. Again, chair pose stays on that left foot. And hip. Couple taps up and down with that right foot. And extend the right leg forward. Up. And out to the right. And up. Back. And up. Back out to the right. And up. Curtsy to the left. And up. Back down to center. Last couple of breaths here. Maybe you sink a little bit deeper. Last 3. 2. 1. Stand all the way up. Whew. Little wiggle. Little shake. Sweep the arms up to the sky. Flip the palms skyward. Grab hold of the right wrist with the left hand. Inhale, lift taller. Exhale over to the left. Send the hips to the right. So sometimes people do this side stretch with really kind of yanking over to the left with the weight on both feet. For me, I find it much more comfortable to send the weight all the way over to the right. And then I feel like I can still get lots of length through both sides of the body. Maybe the weight's so far over that you can play with de-weighting that left leg. Or maybe it crosses in front or behind the supporting leg to anchor into the stretch even more. And then inhale, come back to center, unwind the legs, shake out the arms, get the blood flow back. And then we'll switch sides. Inhale up to the sky. Grab hold of the left wrist this time. Lift taller. Exhale over to the left. Send the hips to the, or sending the hips to the left. The upper body goes to the right. And maybe you're so far over, you can play with a little bit of a balance here, or maybe the foot crosses to really anchor into that stretch. But instead of thinking of pulling down to the right, think of pulling up to the right. Keep breathing. All right, inhale back to center. Shake it all out. Whew, I'm out of breath. I didn't sleep well last night, so that's probably why. A little bend in the knees. And I want you to cross your left foot in front of the right. Now there could be space here, they could be touching. It really just depends on how it feels on your body. If you don't have blocks, this can be really useful to be next to a wall or a coffee table. You're going to keep the knees bent and then come into your forward fold. I really like having blocks here. And depending on the shape of your legs, right, how big your calves are, how big your thighs are, you might not be able to get your legs straight here, and that's fine. But we're getting a little bit of an outside thigh stretch as well as a hamstring stretch. And notice I'm rolling onto the baby toe edges of my feet. I'm going to try and find center on my feet. And then a little walk over to the right. Keep wrapping that left hip back. And then slowly come back to center, unwind the legs, little wiggle or shake, little partway lift, unfold, and then let's just stay here. Cross now the right foot in front of the left. So again, it doesn't have to be anywhere in particular. You just want this sort of staggered pose. Now again, try not to lift up onto the baby toe edges of the feet. Can you root into the center of your foot? Again, depending on the shape of the legs, this might be more or less challenging. Maybe you walk the upper body over to the left a little bit. Keep wrapping the right hip back. And then slowly, gently return to center, unwind. Woo, little wiggle, little shake out. Fingertips to shins, inhale, lift up part way. Exhale, let it go. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Yow, glutes. Exhale. Hands to prayer. All right. I try not to impose my own experience of the yoga onto you, but sometimes it just happens anyway. Shake it out of the legs. Okay, take your feet quite wide. You might turn to face the long edge of your mat. For this, we're going to go into a wide leg forward fold. So knees bent, right? You don't want to be locked out. And then you really don't want the toes pointing out here. So feet parallel or even slightly turned in, right? I find if my heels are ever so slightly wider than my baby toes, that gives me a really strong base of support. Hug the legs toward each other. So again, we're not pressing the feet away from each other. Imagine you're on ice skates. Hug the legs back toward the center line, belly button to spine, and then chop at the hips. Send the sit bones back. Maybe you pause here, just finding that little flat back movement. And then come forward. This is a great place to bring something underneath your hands, to bring the floor up to you. Maybe your hands can come to the floor. Maybe you need to play with the width between your feet. And again, the wider you go, make sure that you can still hug the legs back toward each other. This is not about pressing into Russian splits. From there, hands can go to your feet or ankles, or maybe they walk behind you. Maybe your forearms are on the floor, and you're working toward that press forearm stand or headstand. Last couple breaths here. Okay, slowly back out of the depth a little bit. Bring your hands to the floor or to blocks underneath your shoulders. And as you inhale, lift up partway, belly button to spine. Exhale, let it go. Okay, so we're just equalizing the blood pressure here. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Last time. Okay, two options to come up. One is to heel into your feet toward each other and then slowly roll up. Second option, hands to your hips, hug the legs toward each other, and come all the way up, and then heel into the feet together. Doing kind of a little hoedown movement there. Shake out the legs. Okay, so I think this next thing is called Skandasana. I call it the Cossack squat. It looks so different from body to body, from side to side. So just be kind with yourself. Go where you need to go. We're going to take a wide stance again, but this time the feet are going to be turned out. Send your weight all the way over now to that left foot. Your Cossack squat might be here. You might be up on the heel on that right side. You might be down with hands on the floor. Maybe that left heel lifts, or maybe it roots down. But make sure that you're not bearing weight into that right knee. So if rooting this heel down means that you're pressing that right knee down, don't worry about it. Don't do it. Couple breaths here. Okay, some people are able to do this without their hands. For me, it's not going to happen today. So inhale, come back to center. You can stay low through the hips if you want to. And then exhale over to the right. So again, maybe you're up tall, resting your elbow on your knee. Maybe that left heel lifts. Maybe you come down up onto the toes on that right foot. Maybe the heel plants. You can use your hands, right, to maintain or make sure that you're not pressing that left knee open too much. And then come back to center. Once more each side. Make your way slowly into it. And then exhale. Opposite side. And then slowly come back to center. Heel into the feet together. Oh, that's enough of that standing nonsense. Let's come back down to the floor. Inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, let it all go. Bend your knees. Plant your hands. Come down to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake. Let's get a couple spinal extensions before we roll down onto our back. So come down to your belly. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Once you get there, untuck your toes. Press the tops of the feet into the floor so the legs are really active. Send your tailbone to the back wall. You might feel your belly button engage toward your spine. And then inhale, lift the heart forward and up, baby cobra. Exhale, lower back down. A couple more of these. This just helps reset the pelvis. One more breath here. Okay, once you're down, maybe one cheek to the floor for a couple breaths. Deep belly breaths to release through your lower back. And then roll over onto your back. Once you're down, hug your knees into your chest, little rock from side to side. And then we'll go into a twist. So right arm goes out to the side. Maybe you shift the hips right a little bit. And then exhale, lower your knees to the left. As gentle or as deep of a twist as you need. We're not going to be here for super long. And then inhale back to center. Reset your spine, your pelvis. And then lower your knees to the right. Your left arm might go out to the left. Last breath here. Inhale, come back to center, reset the pelvis and spine. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, it could be happy baby or some sort of spinal flexion or extension, please feel free to go where you need to go. Otherwise, think about where you would like to end for your rest, whether it's flat on your back, legs bent or straight. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation. And there's no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then let go of your breath control and return to your natural breath. And let go of any last muscle gripping or tension in your body, particularly in your neck or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.